everybody. I'm Julia Cordova, and welcome to the Place Your Trades Network. We are the network that focuses on trading daily options using CME Group's event contracts to trade E-mini, S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell 2000, gold, silver, euro, crude oil, natural gas, and copper. So today, we have a great show for you. I am going to be talking to the Pivot King. I have been a big fan of this guy for a long time. I'm excited about it. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Tradeovate, which has built a custom app dedicated to trading CME Group event contracts. That's what we're all using at placeyourtrades.com. Over the next month, we are going to give away a trip to Las Vegas. One winner will join the PYT team at the Money Show on April 24th through the 26th. All you have to do is go to placeyourtrades.com/Vegas and sign up before March 1st at 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll have a special show for you, and I'll spin the wheel to see who wins the trip to Vegas. You know, when I first joined Twitter, I didn't know anybody, so to speak, but one of the people I found pretty soon to when I joined was the Pivot King. And Steve is a guy who he just, you know what, he tells it like it is. A lot of people I find a little bit, insincere, but, Steve is a guy who puts his heart out there on the line with his charts. And I love his work. I love the fact that he's not afraid to take a stand on things. And I'm excited to talk to him about today. With that said, let Steve join us.
Hi, Julia. I'd like to say it's a pleasure and an honor to finally see you and talk to you on the show that you have, which is a beautiful show. I watch it. It's an honor to finally speak with you.
Thank you. One of the things I like about you so much, as I said, is that you really do say what you're doing, as opposed to a lot of people who will say something very wishy-washy. You get things to the tick a lot. I like to think that my levels are that good also, but realistically speaking, sometimes things travel above or below. And so it helps people, I think, to know if you actually have a position, and you're one that doesn't shy away from that. I'm going to get into what your positions are in just a minute. But first, do you want to tell me a little bit about yourself, how you decided to do trading? It's not easy.
Back in the day, I've always been interested in financial markets. I used to play poker a lot, and very good player, by the way. I still do once in a while. Poker and trading go hand in hand. Poker, I don't play every hand. I wait a lot. Same with trading. From that, I grew into trading. And I got the shots, to be honest with you. The shots pretty hard. And that's when you learn. I think everybody truly learns when they get the shots, when, you lose sleep, you're staying up overnight, meaning your position's too big. I don't do that anymore, of course. But no matter what you say to people with regards to trading, such as, I take a trade and they'll be like, oh, the Pivot King's long in this. He's long. I'm going in. And then it's like, you got a market now going up and down 100 points. If you don't know what you're doing, and I say this to everybody, and hopefully you guys listen, you can't follow someone. You need to know what you're doing. Regardless, I don't care who you're following, whether it's me, you, or anybody out there. You could take that information, what Julie is doing or what I'm doing. But in the end, if you don't know how to manage that, in the end, you're going to get the shots. It's good to take nips and pieces of what I do, what you do, because you're a very talented trader. I've always told people that. One of the few that are very talented. I'm sure you went through the school of hard knocks too. You've paid your tuition, such as I have. And a lot of people haven't paid their tuition, especially the younger generation that really hasn't developed their personality. Your personality basically paves the way for you in trading. So if you hung around people when you're young that are partiers, that drink a lot, you're going to speculate a lot. And that's why I always say, hang around with the right people, hang around with people smarter than you. And that's why I have a trading forum. I like to see people smarter than me so I can learn from them too.
You know what's funny is I've always said that I don't know how it happened, but my followers are some of the smartest people on Twitter.
Yeah.
I learn from them constantly, and I really enjoy if we have the same levels and we got them via a different way, or if somebody disagrees with me, I really enjoy understanding their thought process so that I can learn.
Some of the followers that have like 10 followers,
I know
there's actually a couple that I'm following, and I'm like, whoa, this guy's really good. This girl's really good. Just because you don't have a lot of followers doesn't mean the person doesn't know what they're doing. Be honest, Julie, I find the people with a lot of followers don't know what they're doing. Oh. You do, but there's a lot out there that I find. I'm serious. I'm just giving my. I don't know. I just look, when you've been in this game a long time, you get to see things that other people don't. So when you read something, you're like, that it just doesn't make sense to me, at least, and to others that I speak to. But you and a lot of others that do have a lot of followers do know what they're doing. But there is a bunch out there. I'm not going to name them, but it is my personal opinion that I think are actually they're anonymous too.
I know.
That's another thing. You don't know who they are. It could be they put themselves as a girl. It could be a guy. You got to watch who you follow up there. That's all I got to say.
So people accused me of being a guy before I started doing videos. I understand, I guess, why people would do that, but there is a lot of sexism that comes with, I mean, it's like the good and the bad. Maybe somebody might follow you because you have boobs. I don't know. But then also somebody might be quick to insult you or tell you that
you know what? I think men, I'm not like this, but men, and especially the younger generation, think that a female is just outperforming them and they can't stand it. That's my opinion. My wife knows this. I would hire a female over a male now because they're more hungry, they're more dedicated, and they're taking over. You guys are taking over. You guys, men are like, wait a second, we're supposed to be the workers and you're supposed to be at the stay-at-home mom. It's reversed. I think females are better traders. I think they manage their money better. I'm serious. Men spend their money foolishly. It's always in a relationship, the wife controlling the husband's finances. My wife controls mine.
I want to ask you about that. So your wife is a trader too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I go to the game. I just found her.
She sits right behind me, like right there, the screens.
Okay,
she's not here now, but she's been with me now for 4 years steady. And she still doesn't know what she's doing. But no, she does. She does. Look, she does. She's learned a lot. Hey, she's got him to the tick too, but it takes time. You got to watch screens, right? She's busy doing other things.
Yeah.
But she's been sitting down watching screens, price, trading, mapping, practicing. You know, she has me right beside her, so her journey's getting quicker and faster, but she still has lots to learn, right? And I told her, like, still just practice, relax, wait until you're confident. And of course, when you practice, it's not real money, but I did throw some money in her for her. She got a couple of shots, but that's good. That's her tuition. I knew I was going to lose it anyway. Here, take this as a trial here.
You are hilarious.
It was lost in a month, by the way, but it's okay. But she can get it back. She'll get it back. She's learning. And she's really good. She got really good, by the way. Really good.
You know what's interesting is it is. I agree with you that there is no substitute, unfortunately, for screen time. As far as like being a consistent trader, it just takes a lot of time, and that
sacrifice, Julia. Like honestly, a lot of people are getting into this now. They have no idea. Like I spent a lot of time watching screens, like thousands of hours, and I don't think I would have got this good if I did. Well, you won't. And that's why I say to people, like, you get to pick up on things that other people don't. It's like you're playing a video game, to be honest. I'm serious. When I see these markets move, it's algos. And that's why I give these levels. At a certain level, for example, for the last couple of weeks, I've said that they are going to contain the price at 41.80. They will contain it. Why? It's just I've seen it before. So what did they do? 4 days at 3 o'clock. They brought the price over 41.80 to 42.10, which was I had a target 42.12, and they smashed it below 41.80. Not once. The next day they did the same thing. 4 days. I remember a guy in the forum goes, Steve, they're going to close over your 41.80. I said, there's a half an hour left. Don't. And then what do you know? They smashed it. And people are like, how did you know that? It's just, you can't teach someone that. When you get that, it's like a video game. If you practice a game every day and you play it every day, you're going to get better at it. Same with the strategy and trading. If you have a particular strategy that you use and you want to fine tune it, you got to practice it.
Yeah.
And the more you practice it, the more time you spend on it, you're going to get better at it. I think as a trader, especially if you're a young trader, you want to develop your personality first. I don't think they should trade. I think they're too young. And I'm talking traders that are 21, 22, 23. You know, a lot of people will look at them and say, oh my God, this guy knows what he's doing. But in the end, you know, I don't think they have that screen time yet. They'll only get better, but it's the best time to learn trading is right now. It's so rare what's going on. This actually, people have stopped. Like, this is the time you actually, you know, we haven't seen this what happened in the last year in 10 years.
I know.
You know, Now we're seeing it, right? So it's a perfect time to learn. What's happening right now with the Fed saying soft landing happened before the 2008 crash. If you look at articles on Bloomberg, CNBC, you will see the same stuff the Fed is saying right now. They said the exact same thing in 2008.
Right before the pandemic, I felt like I was on crazy pills because I was like, this is going to affect our market. And it didn't for like 6 weeks after we literally see apartment buildings being welded shut. The market just kept churning up like, oh, 1% a day. Oh, yeah. And I was getting shorter and shorter and shorter till I was like full port short. And I was like, oh no, like it's still going up. And it finally came down. But sometimes things are intuitively obvious, but there's like a delay when you think, well, maybe I'm wrong, maybe things will be fine. But I could see it going either way. But I keep an open mind that potentially it could be one of those all over again. There is some alternate universe that potentially we could keep going up. I keep an open.
I'll give you my thoughts. If you look at history with the Fed and all these central banks, what happened at COVID was that was an orchestrated money fest for the 1%. What I mean by that is I think they knew that they were going to print all that money. And if you look at 2020 and above, after 2020, the billionaires, we're talking the ones that own the big companies, Zuckerberg and even Elon, they doubled their wealth in 2 years. I know that Canada printed more money in the last 50 years. I think even more since COVID. That money devalued the middle class's paychecks and went to the 1%. I think the Fed knew what they were doing. I think they gave their money to their buddies like they always do, and they cashed out. If you look at insiders right now, the insider selling right now is crazy. If you look at NVIDIA, the last 3 months, they sold 200 million plus. The insiders sometimes are a little bit late or early, but in the end, it works out. Zuckerberg was selling $75 million every single day for the last 2 years since after COVID. So they knew something. They got that money to withstand the recession, I say, within the next 4 to 5 years. I think their experiment of printing money, it wasn't an experiment. They knew what they were doing.
You believe that was the greatest wealth transfer of our time when we were.
I think the party's over.
The party's over. So it's a question of now how high we go before we go lower.
It's a question of crushing the markets right now so they can buy it cheap again.
You have any targets that you're watching for this week? You know, CPI, we could have huge swing. Keen to short at a particular area or go long if it dips first?
I just actually gave 41.35. I don't even know what it's at now, but that was a target I took long in the morning. I think maybe it's below it. What's it at right now?
Nice. No, it's at 41.37 right now.
So it's there. Yeah, I think for the CPI, either what I mean by they is the boys, the ones who like to push the price around. Either they hit 42.12 and then it corrects, or it just ends up falling down.
Right. No, I'll be looking to short if we somehow get above.
Spike.
Right.
Yeah, they'll probably spike it, right? Because they like to trip stops before any move anyway, either down or up. Nat gas is good for that, by the way. They're the best.
I am bullish this week for the market, but I could, I don't know that they're going to hold it there. But anyway, yeah, let's talk about nat gas because you're not afraid to talk about nat gas, and a lot of people won't tweet about it because it can make you look so bad so quickly. I think my account is actually too big now for me to ever tweet about it again. I don't.
We got a good price on that. My family owns apartment buildings, and we get a nat gas contract. And the guys called us to settle in at $8. I'm like, $8? Are you joking? I go, I'm gonna wait for this thing to hit around 3. And I told my brother, I got a 250 target here. So we locked in around 320, and then he just locked in last week at 260 for 5 years. So
wow.
Yeah, nat gas, the move it did within the last, in 30 days was the biggest move in 30 years. Sorry. No retraces. That was just pure annihilation. It reminded me of oil. Remember when oil went minus? Maybe this thing might go minus. I don't think so. I think it's going to go back up. I think maybe something will happen out in the war land and they'll bring back nat gas and oil back up. They're probably buying now.
I think they're buying now. I had weekly support this week at 2.406. So I'm hoping that this was a back test straight out of the gate on a Monday. I don't know that will happen, but like I'm hoping that we back tested. But I saw you might be looking for a little bit lower before we
That's
go
the
in
stop
there.
run. I think they're going to do it. I think nat gas is going to, it's probably going to $6. It has some unfinished business up there. So
It
what it
does.
is, it's low. You know what they do. They bring it low and they buy. And institutional trades, which I like to look at, block trades, from what I see, they're accumulating. And they're accumulating big. 1.8 million shares on UNG, 1.2, 1.3 million on UNG. And they're not accumulating that at nat gas when it was at $3. They're accumulating it at 260. So if you look at buy low and sell high, they're not, are they selling at 250, 260? No, those are buys. Those are accumulation, and they're ready to skyrocket.
I completely agree with you. Look at the daily chart of UNG. You're going to see a couple of big volume spikes just recently. And I always believe, I don't believe when you see the big volume spikes, I don't usually think that's the bottom. Usually after the big volume spikes, I see it go just a little bit lower before it comes higher, because I think they're doing that for the SEC. I'm not sure.
It's gamed.
It's a
That's
game,
right.
right?
It's,
So
it's
after I
gamed.
see,
It's gamed heavily. It's like the VIX. That gas is not moving. Like you're getting 10% moves. That's big, and that's why I say like you got to be careful trading it. And a lot of people don't know what they're doing. Like they're trading nat gas like they used to trade it when it used to move 1% or 0.2. You're getting 10% moves. I don't even trade futures. I'm trading QG, which is the micros for nat gas.
yeah,
You got to be insane. I guess if you're an institution, of course, but I'm just a little ant compared to these guys. I'm fine with the micro on that gas. You got to be careful. 10% moves, Julia. And what are they doing? They're margin calling everybody. Margin calling longs and margin calling bears. And they know where the price is, by the way, to trip the stops. They know we don't. They got access to the book.
yeah.
And so when they push it, they know where they're going to push it. And then they get into the options market and manipulate it in a way where they get their price. But that's the game. And we have the data that we could use to take advantage of it. If you have the right data and you know what you're doing, you can kind of see the matrix.
Yes.
You still need to be able to manage your trade. Like if you're taking a trade based on what I recommend or what you recommend, this is my opinion. Yeah, you might be right for a couple months, but in the end, there's so many Twitter accounts that I've seen that are some signal service. And there's a lot of people, you'll read the comments below following, oh my God, this guy's making me sick. And then one day they're wrong. You will see 100 comments under there. They got to block comments from their Twitter because they're saying, you're wrong. You were right for the last 3 months, but you're wrong now. I'm out. You're wrong. You're bad. You're bad. You're bad. And they lose everybody. That's why this industry is a revolving door. People that come in because they don't want to work at this. They don't want to learn. They want to be handed them a silver platter. And unfortunately, if you want that silver platter in this industry, you're looking at the wrong industry. So wake up and smell the coffee. It's not that easy. And take data that I say and Julia says, which could help you. But in the end, you still need to know what you're doing.
What about gold? A lot of people are very interested in what you have to say about gold.
Well, gold, I was looking for a pullback way earlier. I just wasn't in it. I think gold's going to get hit one more time, which it did. 2 weeks ago, I said gold at 1966. Look for a deep pullback, and we got it. So I'm looking for 1785, and there is my line in the sand. Okay. If it hits there's my line. If I see some institutional buying around there and how my oscillators look and how my charts look, I might get back into it. If that breaks 1550, 1600, where that's low hanging fruit, miners will be crushed. I'll get my 550 AG First Majestic Silver. Please give it to me. I've been waiting for 550 for 6 months. It's almost there. And if I get it, I like it because it's one of my first miners I traded. Keith, I like the CEO. I've done well with since 2011. I've been trading First Majestic, and I just like it. I like to, it hits 550, and it goes up to 20. I think it's going around that area again, and that's what I'm looking for. I wait. Patience. It's taken a long time, but I like to wait. I like for price to come to me. I don't like to chase. And you know what? It usually does. And if it doesn't, I move on. And I look for the next setup. I don't let it bother me. There's always a trade.
Are you the type of trader, though, that if it does happen to go back up from here, which is unlikely, I confess, are you the type of trader that is there a particular level where if it gets back above, you're like, okay, I'll get back in? Or are you the kind of person that you need to get closer to what you feel is a bottom?
So if it takes out 1966 with a close above it, I'll look for a pullback, which it probably will. And I'll look to enter, because what happens is it takes it out, this, and it pulls back. It's like a a running start. You know, when you're about to take a leap, you know, you pull back and then you go forward and you leap further, right? So it's kind of like with a chart. It releases the energy. It breathes more, like you're breathing in, and then breathe out, and it just takes you further. And that's what I look for. Now, if it just goes up in a straight line, like these AMCs and GameStops, which I don't touch, gold can do that, right? Kind of like a straight line down with not gas. It just keeps going and going, and you miss it. That is, of course, in back of my mind. But I'd rather be in the minors with those. The minors aren't doing too well right now. The minors should be up a lot higher, considering where gold is. With silver too, which tells me we might get that deep pullback.
For me, I would like to get miners a bit lower than they are right now. Optimally, I would like to see them fill the weekly gap and get to the 28.30s or something like that. But I am actually leaving myself open. I am like you. I realistically know that gold might be headed lower. I've got this 1865, which we are right below right now, as a very important level. So for me, if it can clear that level, start closing hourly, 4 hour, daily above, I actually like it above 1865. But I know in my heart of hearts that potentially we could get to 1827, which for me is the measured move of that bear flag. And then, of course, is it going to stop there?
We'll see, right?
They
like to do with gold. They like to shake everybody out, and they shake it hard, right? So CPIs tomorrow, we might hit 1785 tomorrow. Mark it down. I think they do.
You think they go? You think
and
they
I,
go?
And I think it hits it to the tick. We'll have to find out. It's not the first time I hit it to the tick, but we'll see what happens.
So do you think everything will flush down tomorrow and then go up? Or do you think it will flush down and continue flushing? Do you think it will flush up and then come down?
I think the market, if it does come down, like I think it's going to, like, I don't think we've had a scare event, maybe like kind of a breaker, considering the geopolitical news going out there. I don't know. When you turn on the TV every day, there's balloons in the sky. Now they're calling it UFOs. I have no idea what's going on. Honestly, we're living in a time right now. It's unbelievable. I don't think the market should be where it is right now, considering the news. This is insane. If this happened 6-7 years ago, this market would be a lot lower. That there's a war going on.
I don't know.
Between Russia and Ukraine and Israel and Iran. And this is crazy. The war drills in North Korea every week. This is nuts. The market is basically saying it's a bluff. But what if it isn't? Then there's a breaker. And then I think everything falls, including gold.
Yes, of course.
But then what goes up first after gold?
Okay.
Biotech, they've had their run. The S&P and the indices have had their run. Commodities, oil, nat gas, soybeans, orange juice, for heaven's sakes, coffee has had their run. The only sector that hasn't had their run was the miners. Nat gas, $10, oil, $130, indices, balloon territories, pharmaceuticals, boom, balloon territories.
I wonder why, because oil is
well, they probably made a deal with them. Don't worry, your time's coming. 2023. Which is probably now. Maybe that's why the insiders are buying their shares like crazy in the miners. I don't know. The information is available to the public. You can see it.
Yeah.
But, they're buying.
I believe in the metals longer.
I do too. I do too.
I'm a gold bug, but I'm a gold bug that likes to trade. So I do sell them when they're at resistance and buy them again later.
Well, you're charting, right, Julie? You're going by your levels, and you're letting the chart speak, right? And that's the one thing with trading is you don't want your emotions to get into your trading, and that's the hardest part with trading, right? Like that's why you like to try. You got to keep the noise out. Look at your charts. Look at your levels. Your levels work, and then let the levels dictate where the market's going to go. The metals are going to go. I love gold too. I feel bad shorting it, but you want to marry your position, and that's another thing in your trading journey that you're going to realize is that when you marry a position is when you really get hurt and probably most likely blow up your account. When you can get out of that and say, I love gold, but I'm going to trade it. I know it very well. And unfortunately, when I tweet like I'm shorting gold, I'm like, I'm so sorry. But I see a really good setup to short gold here. I'm shorting it, and people are like, oh no, like Bitcoin, right? It's like Bitcoin. I said it's about to get the shots, and it did. And, people think that it's going to go up to 500,000. And That's when you know the top is in, right? When certain people on TV start calling these ridiculous targets to the upside.
Right.
They want to get out.
That's I shorted oil at 123 and I was petrified. I was petrified to do it because all of these people on TV were saying it was going to go to 200.
200. Yeah, that's the sign. They need, Julia, they need people to buy their shares. If no one's buying, what are they going to do?
I don't know.
Look, they need to sell their shares. They got millions of them. They're probably talking to each other going, how do we dump these? You know,
a friend of mine thinks that they do that on purpose, that the bankers will send out people to give targets right before they either sell into it or buy into it. They don't care if they look bad after the fact, as long as they're making money. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's what people, you know, you're right there, but you want to get into that? We can, but it's a game, Julia. The thing is, you have to learn how to play the game. And that's why I said in this industry, you have to really pay attention, listen to the right people, surround yourself with the right people, because it's just like life. You surround yourself with the wrong people, you're going to go the wrong way. You surround yourself with the right people. And what I mean by right is people that look for their future, people that look to grow themselves, learn from other people. Hang out with people smarter than you. If you're hanging around with successful traders, eventually you're going to be successful.
I keep it pretty simple in terms of what I look at. I look at price action. I look at RSI. Sometimes I throw in a little bit of sentiment if I can just tell that, you know, people are super one way or the other. What do you think new traders should focus on when they're looking at price action?
Number one, be a part of a community, the right one. There's a lot of communities out there.
Yeah.
And I would say 95% of them are not to your best interest. 5%, you know, if they're full-time because they're posting a lot. Like if in my trading forum, there's a lot of full-time traders because like they're posting right now. I had to shut it off or else you'd be hearing sounds right now. We're like a family. We talk to each other. We look for levels. We look for setups and we brainstorm. And it's that sort of, don't trade. Don't trade. Like, why would you? This takes a lot of time. It takes years to learn, but I think your trading journey can go a lot further by surrounding yourself with the right people. If you surround yourself with people not being able to manage their trade right, what I mean by that is speculating. Don't worry, it's going to go back up. Like they know where the market's going to go without providing any evidence like a chart or a level. Those are the people, unfortunately, that are everywhere on Twitter. That's why I think a lot of people follow those people, maybe because they don't want to do the work. They want their stuff given to them. And that's what I see. I don't know. I could be wrong, but from what I'm seeing, a lot of people are looking for a silver platter. They want you to provide everything for them. So they're like, I'm going to listen to Julia. She's going to make me all this money. And I don't have to do anything. People are having a hard time. I know restaurant owners here in Toronto. They're having a hard time finding waitresses. No one wants to work right now. This generation is screwed. Like my generation, my family raised me very well, hard worker, go to work. My parents weren't rich. My dad worked in a factory. My mom worked at Zellers. But my dad's payment in a factory bought a house within 6 years. Things are different now, though. You know that. You know their houses back then were 50 grand, right?
Yeah.
So their payments, you could pay off a house in 5-6 years. This generation is don't work, go out, party. Don't worry, things will be handed to you. You don't have to work. The government will take care of you. I'm telling you, this generation is different from the older generation. And I think that's why we're getting a lot of people always wanting handouts and always being told what to do. They want to be told what to do. And unfortunately, in this industry, it doesn't work like that. And whoever tells you anything different, they're on cloud nine. You think this industry full of sharks in the tank is just going to make it easier for you to make millions of dollars? You think it's that easy with these sharks that don't even want to give you scraps in the market? Me, I just want a little piece of the market, a piece on the floor you can't even see. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with just a little paycheck. You know what I mean? Some people want to make, millions of dollars in 1 month. And that's unfortunately is going to really hurt your account. You won't last 3 months, which most people don't. Why? Because they don't want to put in the time to learn. They think by listening to somebody that this person's going to make them all this money. And what I'm trying to portray to people is it doesn't work like that.
I completely agree. I don't understand. Sometimes I see people that I know don't have jobs with like a newer iPhone than I have.
Oh my, there's a perfect example. You're right.
I
Right
know.
there, right there on their credit card too, right? They want to keep up with society. They want to look better than their friend, which is the wrong thing to think. And that's why I told you earlier, you got to be frugal right now. You got to watch your spending. Watch. Sometimes you might not be able to go out for dinner every week. You can't. You got to watch your spending, especially if you have kids, you have a family. Watch your spending, especially going into the next 2 years. And I don't think a lot of people are talking about that, and they should be. If you're spending your money foolishly right now, you could be in some serious serious situations down the road. And it's already happening, Julia. It's happening to people. I'm seeing it. I'm hearing it, actually.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's because their money's not being managed right. Apartment buildings, for example, my family owns. You're starting to see. We tell them be frugal, and they're listening because watch your spending. You might not be able to buy what you want to buy now,
Yeah.
and if you buy that, it could affect your family. So your family's number one. You got to watch your money right now. And a lot of people aren't talking about this. Interest rates are rising. You're going to be paying, if you speculated and borrowed a lot of money on your house within the last 2 years, it's bad.
That's bad. I've always been the kind of person that I pay off my credit card every month. I've always been that kind of person. Even if it's painful for me, I won't buy something until I can afford it. And even I pay cash for my cars. I'm terrible, right? But I will say I know people now that are on purpose racking up huge debt because they believe that we'll all be forgiven. They have this in their minds.
You never know. Maybe it might. Maybe it might. I don't know what.
It might. I got a scholarship to go to school, but I mean, I also know people who believe that because the student loan forgiveness, all this stuff, it's like, where would it ever end? And so who knows I'm going to be mad if I've been that responsible person my whole life. And then everybody gets it for free. I'm going to be mad, but it's possible. Who knows?
Pension funds, they don't have the money. Okay. It's actually known that in Europe, if you look in the right places, they don't have the money. And that's why they're printing more money. They don't have the money. And the bank speculated with the money.
Mm-hmm.
There was no oversight and they lost it. There's credit default swaps. It's like I'm betting against you, bank for bank. So I'll go to you, Julia, and say, you know what? By next week, we're banks. All right, you're a bank in Germany. I'm a Deutsche, and I'm a bank, JP Morgan, going, you know what? ES is going to, in 2 weeks, I can see it going below this certain level. And they do these credit default swaps, and it's in the trillions, billions, and billions of dollars. Now, if that's not a plan for an implosion, I don't know what is. I don't even know why they have those, but it is so fragile, this financial system, fractional reserve banking financial system, that, like I said, a Titanic type of event could happen at any time.
Yeah. I mean, what
And
could
it's
be?
scary.
Yeah.
Scary.
Right. There's just so many black swans out there. I don't even know which one is just, it's going to be something very random.
Now, how many people know that when you open up a bank account, you actually sign a piece of paper that if there is a crisis, you lose the money in your bank account? It's called a bail-in. Canada has it. That was passed 4 years ago. The United States has it. Europe has it. So, yeah, it's buried in there, but it's there. There's a thing called bail-ins. So, if what happens is if there's a crash like '08 or worse, the bank could take your money.
So, what would you advise?
You get bank shares. You get bank shares, by the way, probably at $1. Yeah, they give you the shares of the bank.
No, thank you. But so you're a trader. I know you're not like you're not. Are you a financial advisor registered? No. Okay. No. So I mean, but do you have any idea of what people should be doing to prepare for what you think is coming?
Be frugal. Save your money. If
don't put it in a bank though, or you should.
Well, you're insured, I think, up to. I know in Canada it's up to 100,000.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's 150 here. I'm not sure, but I think.
Yeah. So anything over that, I guess, is something to watch for. But be frugal, watch your spending, and for what's coming, I think is you have to definitely watch your spending.
Okay.
That's my advice I give to everybody. watch. You might not be able to go out to certain restaurants that your lifestyle has to change.
Yeah.
I like being frugal. To be honest, like you live in a big house. How much time do you actually spend in one room? 85% of your time in a house you spend in one room. Why do you need 10 rooms?
Yeah.
Think
Well,
about it.
my problem is I eat out a lot. Like I eat
Same
out a
with
lot.
me. Same with me, as you could see.
Yeah.
But same with me.
But anyway, no, I appreciate you joining me today. This was I just enjoyed talking to you. You're funny.
You're funny too. I've had a good. I like speaking with you, Julia. Even before the little chat there, I really like your work. I like
you.
that you're very talented, educated, smart, and it's a pleasure speaking with you. And hopefully we can do this again.
Yeah, I would love to. I love your work as well, and I like when we're on the same page. So
Yeah,
that makes me happy. Not always. Sometimes when I'm scrolling through Twitter, I'm like, oh no, when I see things what I think. But when I see that you think what I think, I'm like, all right, yes, okay.
Well, let's see when that gas does. I think we're going to be right on that gas. I really think we're going to get that pop. I think there's scaring a lot of people, including me. But I think it hits that 222 area. We might wick it and take off, which will probably be this week, Thursday, the gas report. Wick and go, as I call it. Wick and go.
Okay.
So,
I had 2.40 as support. So far it's held. I'll be ready to buy at 2.220. You said 220. I'll be ready to buy there.
Yeah, I like it there. I like it.
Oh, 222. Right.
Yeah, 222.
Okay.
They like those numbers too, by the way. They like those sequences.
Yeah, they do. I mean,
like
even
666. But anyway.
Yeah, the low was 5.55. It closed Friday at 6.66. It's like,
there you go. See,
they like the funny numbers. I think they're because they mess with us. But thank you.
Thank you, Julia.
Everybody, you can follow Steve it's at ThePivotKing, right, on Twitter. His wife is at ThePivotQueen.
Yes.
Yeah. Royalty of Twitter. So but thank you so much for joining me, Steve.
Thank you, Julia. We'll do this again for sure. Ciao.
Right, take care.